So in today's video I have got week 4 of the 365 days of art challenge, so if you want to see that, then keep on watching. Okay, so this week I started off with a really simple, really quick one to do. I can't actually remember what the prompt said exactly, but it was something like write a quote that like you stand by or something, I don't know, or like an inspirational quote, something like that. And I went for "you didn't come this far to only come this far." Yeah, I just thought it was quite inspirational, but as you can probably see, I started writing it with like the highlighter and then realised that I actually wasn't going to be able to write all of it with the highlighter. So what I did instead was write "you didn't come this far," you didn't come this far in highlighter. No, I didn't. That's such a lie. It's like now obviously I'm doing this voiceover, that part of the video is already gone and I can't actually remember what I wrote in highlighter, even though it was just there. But yeah, you saw what I wrote in highlighter. So without like the bit that wasn't written in highlighter, it makes sense, and then with the bit that wasn't, it also makes sense, if that makes sense. Not really, but there we go. That was the first one. So the second one was this tree, and the art prompt was to add leaves to it, like autumn leaves. So I just went in with some watercolour, as I do for most of these, and I just did some yellow, orange and red leaves, just different variations of colour. I just dotted them all about the tree. As obviously you saw to begin with, there was some on here already, and I just kind of followed those patterns and just added as many or as little on each branch as I wanted to. Obviously with it being autumn, the tree's not going to be full of leaves anyway, so I did it as if quite a few had already dropped off, but this one did still take quite a while anyway, because I did want to I didn't want to just do like 2 or 3 on each branch. I wanted it to actually look a bit more, not realistic, but realistic. Obviously it is very minimalistic, cartoony drawing, but I just kind of wanted to add as many leaves to make it a bit more realistic, like I said. So yeah, that was where I got up to with that one. Then this next one was just a simple colouring in one. So I kind of took the stance on this one as though those ones were like the ones that I'm colouring in now were pineapples, and then the other ones were tomatoes. Obviously the way that I've coloured them and the way that they're drawn, they don't look exactly like pineapples, but that's kind of the way I went with it. I kind of tried to make it look a bit stylistic. Is stylistic the right word? I don't know. Stylized, I suppose. Stylized. That's probably more of a word than stylistic. Yeah, so I just coloured them all the base yellow and then coloured each of those rings in more of like an orangey colour. Yeah, again, to kind of make it look a bit more pineapple-y. Obviously like the outside of pineapples are yellow, but then they're more green than they are yellow. Obviously the inside you can get pineapple rings, so that's kind of the way that I went with that. But yeah, this one actually took ages. You probably wouldn't think so because you're kind of doing the same thing over and over again, but I think because I was doing the same thing over and over again, it took ages, because it's just very repetitive, and there was, as you can see, quite a lot of these rings to colour in. But yeah, I then just obviously finished those ones off and then went on to the tomatoes. So here you can see I went in with the with like quite a dark red to do the like middle bits of the tomatoes. I don't even know if that's what they're supposed to be, but that's what they look like to me, so that's kind of what I ran with. So I just googled a picture of a tomato, because surprisingly it's quite difficult to remember what one actually looks like when you're trying to. So I just googled one that was cut in half, and then just kind of followed it along. So these bits were a lot darker. Obviously these are the bits that have like the juice in, and then obviously like the fleshy bits are like more pink than they are red, so I then went in with like a more pink, like washed out colour after that, just to kind of go around and fill in the gaps. And then for some reason I thought that the seeds inside of a tomato were black. They are not. They're more like white, like a creamy white colour. So as you can see, I just did a darker red for the actual skin, and then I went back through and went over the seed bits with like white to kind of blend in a little bit and just make them a little bit lighter than what they were previously. And I just went over and did that on all of them. It didn't really make that much of a difference, but I just thought it looked a little bit better than what they did before, so I'm quite glad that I did that, even though it didn't really make much of a difference. And it took, again, a fair while, because obviously smaller sections, had to kind of take my time a little bit more to make sure that I wasn't just like chucking the watercolour everywhere. But yeah, I'm glad that I did it overall. And then after I had done that, I then went into the little like stem bit, stalk, leaf bits on the pineapples and just filled them in with green. And then I went back over, and on the middle of those circles I went and did a few bits in black, and then actually just decided to fill all of the middles in with black. So I just used one of my black fine liners to do this with, obviously because they're tiny little circles or dots even. I just kind of went in like that rather than using watercolour. Just thought it would be a lot quicker this way. So yeah, that's what I did with that, and then that was this piece finished. So the next one that I went in and did was this one. I think the prompt was to create different skies, or like clouds, or skies. So this first one that I did was kind of similar to the top one. I kind of did like a stormy sky. I used some darker greys and then used some white and just put some extra water on the page just to kind of wash it out a little bit. Obviously, hence you can see like the white underneath. And then the next one I went on to do was sort of like a sunset. I did some lines of orange and then kind of blended them down, and then I decided to actually just fill the entire box with that. So I used some red, I used some orange, just to kind of create different depths and different shades into the actual sky itself, just to create sort of like a cloudy sunset. And then the final one that I did, I just chose a blue sky, just with some clouds. So yeah, that was what I did for those. I really like the sunset one actually. And then I went on to this prompt, which was carrying on the pattern, and this was actually surprisingly difficult to do with watercolour, as you can probably see, with how messy some of the lines actually ended up being. And I did my typical drawing a bubble around the art prompt at the top, just because I think when you're painting that close to where the prompt actually is, it looks a bit better to kind of have that as if it's almost stuck on the top of the art. I don't know, I just think it looks better. But yeah, that was a really, really quick one, as you can probably see. I didn't rush it, but I did rush it as well, because I just knew it wasn't going to come out that great anyway. So I kind of just did that. And then this next one was another colouring in one, which I did once again with watercolour. So I went for a red in the middle, and then kind of went for a little bit of like a colour gradient outwards. So then went for like an orange, like a red orange sort of colour, and then kind of went into like a normal orange, and just kind of followed it out until I had done all of them. And then I decided, instead of just leaving it like that, I would actually put some shadows into it, which you'll see in a moment. Obviously I'm still actually just painting the actual base colours on at the minute. So I went from like red, orange to yellow, and then just filled in the like stem of the leaf. Well, I've taken these to be leaves. They look like leaves to me, but yeah, I kind of just went along, as you can see, with like a gradient outwards, just to kind of keep it in sort of like the same colour family, very warm toned colours. And then yeah, I went in with or just finishing off with some yellow here, but yeah, I went in with some shadows, just to kind of put some more depth into each. As you can see here, I kind of just went along where the black lines were, just to create a bit more depth. And yeah, that was it on that one. Okay, so the last one that I did this week was this one here. So I had a sunset, like skyline, and I had to, or just like a sunset, and I had to draw what was in the sunset. So I went for a city skyline, sort of like a silhouette of a skyline. So as you can see here, I just blocked out all of the buildings I wanted in the silhouette, just with black watercolour. I had to go over a couple times on some bits just due to the fact that the paper was quite glossy from having the sunset printed on it. So I had to go over a couple times just to make it as opaque as I possibly could without completely saturating the paper. So yeah, as you can see here, I've got that completely covered now. So then I just went in and blocked out the lines of where each building would be with some white watercolour. I just did this as lightly as I possibly could, just to block it out a little bit. So the first building, we went in with, I blocked out some of the windows with a white pencil. So I just went in and drew sort of like rough shapes of a window. As you can see, they're not all fully coloured in, but I thought this looked quite effective, quite cool. And then instead of keeping all of the windows exactly the same style, I went in with this building and I did some like big sort of like officey windows, rather than like flat windows or anything like that. And then I just went in and did some different ones on this one. I just kind of tried to keep each kind of different but also similar, just to add a little bit more variation on each of them. And then as you can see here, I just added some little details to the roofs. So I just added some, just some lines, sort of some antennas, like TV antennas, that sort of thing. And I just went through and added sort of like the windows. I added the windows, like I said, of each building, sort of in a similar way but different, just to kind of add some variation to them, make them look a little bit different, but also keep them cohesive with each other. And then I just added some little white details along the top of a couple of the buildings. And then the last thing I did, as I do every week, is just go back through and mark off each one that I did on the tracker at the front, which you can see is filling out quite nicely now. So yeah, that was week 4 done.
So that was the 4th week of the 365 Days of Art Challenge. I really enjoyed this week, and I hope you guys did as well. Let me know what you think in the comments, and yeah, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe as well, and come back next Sunday for the next week of this. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.